Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Oregon FFA Ag Chat. Today, we have the opportunity to be with Meghan Miller at the Lost River FFA chapter, and we get a program tour. So without further ado, I will kick it over to Meghan, who's ready to go.
Hi, everyone. We're going to give you kind of a full program tour. So we figured why not start right here, walking in the main entrance of our high school. Fun fact, when I was a senior here, because I obviously was born and raised in this area and went to school here myself, my senior project was actually re-landscaping the front of the school, which has changed a little bit since then, but I spent a lot of hours out here actually making these flower beds. So kind of a fun fact for you as we start off. But come on in, we're gonna go look at our cafeteria and where we started our farm to school piece a couple years ago. So this is our cafeteria area. The cool thing is that our cafeteria staff has been awesome about letting us try to incorporate as much as we possibly can into their food service. So one of the things my 8th graders just started in our Ag X curriculum. So the new middle school curriculum that Case put together and we started teaching this year. They are actually managing these 3 tower gardens. So it's part of their explore activity for the whole semester. So they have a variety of different lettuces, spinach starts that we just transplanted yesterday. They planted them a week ago. And so they'll get to actually see these daily as part of their project and their research project. The goal is at the end of the semester in January, they actually get to make a salad. And so we'll show you the second piece of that in the greenhouse of what's actually being harvested and put on the food line right now as well. So every month, our district, as part of a district-wide farm to school piece, has a featured item. So melons are this month's featured vegetable fruit, and that was my principal. They are featuring melons this month, and so yesterday they made a melon sorbet. So at the in the month of February, actually, they're going to actually feature our lamb as one of their featured items, and so that will actually be served in the cafeteria. So down this hallway. We'll actually get a quick glimpse right here. This is my principal, by the way. This is Mrs. Wallen. We'll give you a virtual tour to Oregon Ag teachers. So down this hallway is the ag room. The ag room, another fun fact, used to be a home economics room. So it's a little bit different than your typical ag classroom. The old ag classroom was actually demolished in June. It was a manufactured trailer that the district decided had to go. So it had been here long ago. The officers are putting up their meet the officer boards. We have our star chart down here that the kids keep track of. They are actually putting it on an Excel sheet this year. So they're getting ready to make a poster to actually cover that chart. And then every month their goal is to change out the photos to current editions. This year we did a little bit different point system with their FFA activities to try to increase our participation. They have a 30+ club and a 60+ club that they're going to do this year. 30+ members will get a bucket hat, and the 60+ members at the end of the year will get a camp chair. Then we'll come into the ag room. These are several of my middle schoolers that are actually studying soils at the moment. I'll turn off my volume so you don't have to hear yourself again. Turn off my volume so you don't have to. I threatened them with their lives that they had to be good, but we have a contest tomorrow, so they're attempting to study or at least pretend like they are. I think they're just sleeping. So anyways, in here, we have 4 separate kitchens. So my last class of the day is food science. So we've been really upping our game on our equipment in my classroom to get new ovens. So they're all convection ovens with obviously glass tops. I did a Ag West Farm Credit grant a couple years ago when it was still Northwest Farm Credit. and got the 3-compartment sink as part of that grant, and new refrigerator, and new freezer, so that we can actually teach food safety. So all the kids actually just passed their food handler's license, and that whole class is actually licensed and gonna work in our food trailer, which we'll show you in a bit. This guy over here is rarity, I think, for all ag programs, but it is the SaniTouch egg washer. So it actually is like a mini car wash, and the water obviously turns on in the back, and then we'll put eggs in this guy, and it works like a little car wash. They come through all the brushes up on top, and they come out fairly clean. There's a couple of times where we'll have to resend them through. But the other FFA chapters in our school district now have these as well to wash their eggs. So pretty cool. Most of you know I teach a lot of case courses. So these little tubs are obviously one of our labs that we were doing today. They're a very common thing in my classroom, just to keep things organized and whatnot for all of you that are looking for cool ways to keep things organized. My new ones are these little cubbies that we just put together for every table when we're doing projects. Has everything they need on them for just those specific days. One thing, one of our officers, or our officer team, I should say, our leadership team, they are doing a spotlight of the month for our SAEs, and then they're also doing a junior high and high school member of the month. So we try to spotlight them. We're still missing a picture of Miss Christelle, but otherwise they'll be up here for the month, and then when we put our October spotlights up, we'll rotate out. We keep our calendar out here, try to keep communication as big as possible. We spent some dollars a few years ago and got the TV put up to play a rotating set of, it's basically a PowerPoint slide, Google Slides, and the officer team keeps those updated with what's happening. So the kids, when their eyes are wandering in class, they can hopefully stay up to date with what's going on in the program as well as the chapter. So we'll head out to the shop next. We'll be back. Be good. They tell you not to leave them unsupervised, but sometimes Sabrina's in there. Sabrina's in there. She's my senior. There's Donnie. This is Donnie. He's one of my lifesavers. Best friend. Our night guy. We're giving a virtual tour, Donnie. Okay. Please excuse us while you try to clean our mess. Some of you know we just started doing a catering business, so you'll notice things overlap a lot, sadly enough. But we are just getting welding, so things are a little disarray, but as everybody knows, that's how it goes. So we have in our shop, I guess you could say I'm still a little old school, but I still teach oxyacetylene welding, and then we switch over to cutting and whatnot. I just find getting that OA practice really helps with the TIG welding later on. So the kids will partner up. I have mixed classes, so I have AgMech 1, 2, 3, and 4 all in one class period. I have 2 classes of 30 kids, which is a lot for our setup and our equipment wise. So we have 6 booths, obviously, on the manifold system. Added a portable unit here, and then coming through, we only have 5 booths for art building. So these kind of got a little bit revamped when I moved here. They didn't have lights above, so it was super dark. And then my students actually built these 2 years ago. We added 3 more booths. They welded it all together. We got new power ran across. And then we added these Miller-matics so that we have booths now that have arc, MIG, and TIG capabilities. Obviously, multiple projects in the works that usually don't are plasma machines that we're not currently using, but will be here shortly with our advanced kid. We've got arc lights, got 2 torch mates, and then we have a plasma cam that was given to us from one of our ESD, as far as one of the schools that backed out of the ESD. Obviously, I had to give their equipment back. So we've been adding at least a machine or 2 a year since I started here. I started here in 2017. So it's been a huge work in progress. I really, really wish I would have taken before pictures because believe it or not, it's still a work in progress, but we've added a lot of stuff to this shop to allow for 30 kids to work in it at one time. So checkout system, I give every kid a jacket, a set of gloves, and glasses that they keep in their lockers, and we'll show you those here in a second. And then I have 30 helmets. They're not all up there at the moment, but there is 30 helmets that will be up there for every kid to use at every class. So everybody has plenty of PPE. That's been a big push on my end to try to make sure everybody gets what they need that way. So moving into the wood shop side. We've been cleaning out a lot of equipment here again that didn't work or was super old. The school was built in 1970, and some of the stuff obviously is still from 1970. This is a fodder system. I believe Kathy Mayfield also has one up in North Clackamas somewhere. So we're putting that together to be able to feed our critters that we'll show you here in a bit. Every kid gets a locker to keep their PPE in and small projects. We're also going to move in several bookcases that our library just got rid of to put projects, storage, and anything that doesn't really fit in their lockers that they're holding on to. I teach welding. We do a little bit of wood stuff. We do plumbing and electrical. What I've found more than anything is storage, which is probably everybody's problem. This used to be a metal or a wood shop and a metal shop, and there were separate teachers for both full time when I was in high school. And then there was ag, and then there was home ec. So it's all basically combined into one at this moment in time. So we're working on that, hopefully that second teacher. But we converted this office into storage. For those of you that are looking for other storage ideas, it's not perfect by any means, but we built shelves and we've added extra carts. This is one that the kitchen didn't want anymore. So we added extra space. We've gotten tables. We've done tons of donors choose grants, just trying to add as much as we possibly can to our program. So we've reutilized and trying to keep the space as utilized as possible. So clear tubs are my friend. That way I can send a kiddo out to hopefully find what we need. But with all the case curriculum and everything else, everybody's always trying to figure out a good way for storage. We're in the works of getting this saw hand-me-down that came to us up and running. But the hope is that we have 3 chop saws, 3 table saws, 3 of everything in here to make everything work right. So yeah, this is kind of my baby for this year. I try to take one piece at a time at a year. So the barn was my big project the first couple of years. The metal shop's been my project the big time in the couple of years. The food science piece. Wood shop is this year. That's my goal for this year, is trying to wrap this guy. Hey, move. Wood storage, obviously. We keep house plants in here just because we do turn off the heat in our greenhouse. So we'll keep those on here. My student workers actually reorganized this bad boy over the summer. So it actually looks super nice. If you see it in June, it really will not look this nice.
I'll actually walk in there.
You can't even walk. My plant science class built this storage shed for us last year. This is where we're keeping all of our containers. I was used to keeping them in the greenhouse and they're obviously melting. So we spent some money, got some shelving, and trying to keep everything as organized as possible just for greenhouse storage. This shed, believe it or not, is on Amazon. And I think it was actually only $1,500. It comes like an IKEA project, so beware if you actually go for something like that. But it's pretty handy for doing what we wanted it to do. This right here is going to be the new Lost River Community Center. So you're looking at what's going to be the outside wall of the gym. But there's going to be a gym in it, a couple classrooms, a new concession stand, and a concession stand that can be used for the gym and or outside locker rooms and so forth.
R.I.P. the old greenhouse.
Yeah, when you turn that camera around, some people that have been to my program before know that used to be our greenhouse, one of them. So that was the lean-to greenhouse that, I don't know, got built probably 30, 40 years ago. It came down because of the fact that you have to have a 30-foot boundary there. So we're going into obviously the second greenhouse, and I'll show you when we come back around where the third greenhouse is going to go. So this is another piece of the farm to school. My summer workers, we get to hire 2 summer workers. They get paid just like the mowing crew and everybody else that works for the school district, that added labor in the summertime. Thankfully, that was a huge push for our school district, and they've graciously given that to us as well as Henley's chapter for our school district. So they planted, keep them watered, fertilized. They're usually the ones weeding in here. Otherwise, it looks like a complete jungle. But all of these tomatoes, actually today we've harvested, and my food science class made a pico de gallo. And it's part of their knife skills practice. So if you have cakes, I'm sure you know what activity we're on. But they'll probably last till December usually, and then we kind of let them die off because in January we obviously start over for plant sales. So we can usually keep tomatoes out here till almost December, and then we actually do some wreaths and some centerpieces for Christmas time. So we do all sorts of projects. So coming out here is the backside of my shop. We have obviously a mess on our hands here, but we're lucky that where the old ag classroom used to be, just outside my classroom door, this greenhouse frame is actually going to get moved over there. So we are actually going to be able to put up all 100 feet opposed to just the 40 feet that you see here. And then these were the old tables that came out of the old greenhouse. This is a shop project that my advanced kids are going to take on, trying to rebuild them and make them freestanding instead of what was bolted to the wall. The project off to the left here is a ticket booth that's in construction. Our school doesn't have a ticket booth for the outdoor sports, so we're remodeling / reconstructing that one. We've gotten 2 tractors now donated to us in the last 2 years from farmers that just didn't need them anymore. So the hope is to try to do some restoration projects once we have hopefully another teacher. And these are raised beds that we've got peppers and some radishes, the last few radishes and the other further down. So the kiddos picked peppers today as part of their salsa. Obviously they need a little bit of weeding, but they still grew. So that was part of the summer girls project is back then. We're gonna head out to our land lab. So when I came here in 2017, there was no barn. There was actually nothing. There was a weed patch with some fencing around it. When I was in high school, we had a similar barn structurally that you see here, but it was at the opposite end where the main intersection is when you come to the school. And so it just isn't a perfect setting at that end. It's for safety reasons, obviously. You can't watch it as well with people coming in and out. And for taking your classes out there, obviously it's a lot further to walk. So the harder part of that is it burnt down. So 15, actually now 20 years ago, it burnt down and kind of had to fight to get it rebuilt. And we decided to rebuild it down here. So we did that with the hope of obviously being closer to the classroom, closer to the shop, and just making it easier for project visits and so forth. So we use this a lot in the summertime, especially for our weekly visits for kids showing animals at the fair. We have about 100 laying hens. We'll get another batch of 30 pullets coming in on October 3rd to replenish some of our older hens that need to go away. We have electric fence, but it's not actually on right now at the moment, but they're pretty docile for the most part. So we usually don't have to fight, luckily, the critters that much, and we don't have to worry about them flying around or getting hit. They kind of stay where they're supposed to.
Our 2 escapees.
So this was a big weed patch at one time. They're like, what? How do we get back in? We feed them all of the cafeteria scraps that come off of the salad bar. So anything that the kiddos don't eat comes off the salad bar. We have 30 laying boxes that the kiddos all built. So they're all a little different, but we collect anywhere from I would say right now, probably about 5 to 6 dozen a day. They go to our local grocery store and or to the cafeteria. So all of our school district with the farm to school piece is pushing to all have obviously egg licenses with the egg washers and so forth, so that we all have our little numbers and all are approved in that way. We built new little feeder sheds. Actually, Macy was one of those that did that in our shop class last year. So we'll be putting those out here here shortly, that have siding on them, so the chickens have a little bit more shelter during the winter. We put just a generic greenhouse shade cloth on so that they have a little bit more protection in the summertime, so it doesn't get so hot. But they really like to actually be able to come out. If you let them have all the grass right now, they would devour it. But they also make a ginormous mess. So it's been a hard enough just to get the lawn to grow there that once upon a time was just a big weed patch. So we'll leave them out of that for now. Moving into the barn. Most of the time we get our hay and straw donated from local farmers. And so we're very gracious in that piece and grateful that they do that. We keep our feed in our little tack room here. So this is another one where the kids built the shelves, and we've really worked on organization and so forth in here, trying to figure out the best way. I'd really like to get it insulated, but we're working on that part. So air storage, feed storage, all that good stuff. My summer workers have the time card punch, not because I don't trust them, but just because it's easier to keep track that way, and we don't have to guess on who was what or who was here then or when or whatever. And they come on the weekends too and feed, so it keeps everything a little bit easier in that realm. For those of you that are trying to think of like Wilco grants and Grange grants, what you could use for that, we've bought a ton of stuff through our Grange co-op grants for fencing. And we'll show you obviously the project that we've been working on here in the last couple of weeks, but it's a huge one for fencing wise. I have production class, so kids that have more of an independent study throughout the day, they come out and take care of critters like Pedro here. He's actually our sheep protector. When the sheep are over here, they're across the road at the other pasture at the moment. And then this is Stevie. He is a blind calf that was given to our program that we're feeding out. So he's doubled in size, I would say, in the last couple months. And then we have 2 other calves that are, I'm assuming, out this way, but we'll see where they're at. Might be further down. They might be down underneath the tree, but this is a 2-acre lot, including the space that the barn takes up. So we put underground main line in so that we can irrigate from the well and regular irrigation water from the lake. So those of you that know obviously our water story down here, that's a a rarity, and we hope to obviously have irrigation water all the time, but it doesn't always happen. But we're very thankful that we've been able to keep reseeding and reseeding, and now we're actually getting a fairly good stand of grass. So we've got more grass seed to put out, and hopefully have a functioning full 3 paddocks that are obviously about a half an acre a piece for keeping everything separated. So we have a dozen ewes that we breed, and then kids can obviously pick from for their fair projects. We have 2 calves out here that are almost ready to harvest that'll go into our cafeteria. This year we fed out 8 turkeys that we butchered, as well as hatched out in the springtime. We always do a partner hatch with our elementary schools that the chicks all come here. So they're broilers. We feed them out, we butcher them, and then we're going to do meat packs when the calves are done with turkeys, chickens, lamb chops from the lamb that didn't go into the cafeteria, but just the chops piece. And then
the ribeye and T-bones from our calves will all be meat packs for our dinner and auction in December. The rest of the calf will all be hamburger slash actually, I think they're going to all be 5-pound packages of hamburgers, what they wanted. So they're going to go in the cafeteria that way. So we've done hogs before and butchered those out. It's kind of whatever's available and going. We've tried it out. Right when COVID hit, we had just farrowed out two sows, and so the kids were here for 6 days, and then COVID hit, and so we took care of two whole litters all by ourselves that spring, which was fun, but it would have been way more fun with the kids. That's insane.
We've added anything we can think of. So this was another Grange / Wilco. That side looks really dirty at the moment because there's nothing in here drinking it, but the other side looks good. These are the Ritchie heated waters. So they work really, really well. We have a couple more that we're actually going to put out here in these paddocks as soon as we're done hanging gates and getting the last finishing touches on those little pastures that we're adding to it. And then we obviously were able to buy a stock trailer for our program too in the last couple of years. So it's all coming together. Some of our local alumni they own the hardware store in town. So they donated some of the lumber. There again, a bunch of the posts and the wire panels and almost every gate that's on our property was donated from Grange Co-op through the grant. So if you can think it, apply for it because they're willing to give you that money. Close the store really quick so I don't forget later. We're supposed to actually get some rain, so we're gonna hope we do. These are some of our plants, obviously, that we raised in our greenhouse that we try to keep some sort of beautification project outside of the barn just for fun. One of our past graduates made the signs that we have at both ends of the barn with the plasma cutter. So we finally got those hung up. So we have some signage. We'll head back over here and show you our new food trailer. We did a Revite grant with our business program this year. FBLA is our other CTSO here. So they have, I think they bought 3 heat presses and a couple vinyl cutters to do some merchandise. And so this trailer is a multi-purpose. It can be a concessions trailer, or if we're selling merchandise, we use it for that. So we have a full window that opens up. Inside there's a full refrigerator. Right now it's loaded with about 1,000 pounds of meat for our drive-through dinner and 2 catering events we have coming up in the next week and a half. It's got a full griddle, burners, 2 ovens, all stainless steel, 3-compartment sink, the whole works. Double R trailers in Idaho. They were awesome to work with if you're looking for a vendor for a food trailer. But it's a beast, which we are learning that you have to have a decent pickup or ag truck to pull something like this. This weighs about 7,000 pounds. So it's a beast to pull. So we're learning that, and then we're trying to figure out exactly what signage we want to put on it, since it's a partnership piece between FFA and FBLA. We have a whiteboard that can be hung on there for menus and that kind of thing. So we're still in a work in progress. So last thing, I'll show you where we're hoping to put that greenhouse, and then we've kind of made it full circle. So right here where the dirt patch is, those of you that might have been here in years past, that was the old trailer that was the old ag classroom long ago, but they tore that out. The LRCC obviously is there, so we're going to put the other greenhouse up from sidewalk to asphalt to make up for it. We're obviously going to have to add some lighting because we will get a lot more shade now that we have the LRCC and we're between 2 buildings. But
at least we'll be able to get that amount of space back. And the cool thing is we have some farm bots. We have some raised bed materials to build, tables already. We have plastic, we have irrigation. So we're just trying to, my goal for the year is to put all of the projects that we have going to use and actually get it all wrapped up. So I think that's it.
That's awesome,
Any
Megan.
questions?
How big is your high school? Remind me how many students there are.
So we just dropped down to, I'm gonna step out of the sunlight for a second. We just dropped down to 1A last year when they did all of the reconfiguration, but we're a really big 1A. Our football team is really well known, and so they actually just beat the number 1 2A. So I don't know if we'll actually end up staying 1A with the way things are going, but we have 240 students, 7 through 12.
Okay, awesome. And then about roughly how big is your chapter?
We have between first semester and second semester, we'll have 160 or more, depending on I think the other half of the 7th and 8th grade class that I'll have come in are a little bigger than what I have now. So it'll probably be between 160 and 170 by the end of the year.
Oh, that's awesome. And you need the manpower for all the different projects that
Yes,
you have
definitely.
going on. Oh, that's so cool.
As Macy will tell you, she calls it slave labor, but
It is.
they get a lot of perks out of that slave labor, as you all know. So
I have 150% in this class.
There it is. Oh, I love that. Well, and it was awesome.
It's hard.
I feel like as you went to each and every area, there was always something made by students or done by a class. So I really think that's smart to leverage classroom projects in order to improve your program. I really liked that.
Well, and normally I always start off, first week we're starting into safety and that kind of thing. And this year, the weather was nice. So we started fencing in ag mechanics, and the kids are like, this isn't what ag mechanics is. I said, oh, yes, it is. So
Slave labor.
they did fencing for the first so
I love
yeah,
it. It is mechanics, right? They're learning all kinds
Absolutely.
of tools and parts and pieces. So
absolutely. There is physics like no other in fencing.
so true. Oh, it's so true. Great. Well, I'll wrap up this recording real quick. So thank you to all those who tuned in on our YouTube channel. I'm sure if you have any questions or comments, you are welcome to reach out to Megan, and she can probably direct you in the right direction for whatever answers you may need. So yeah, thanks for joining us.